For August the 2nd, 2019, we talk about Autochess, we reflect on which tabletop games are popular in Roll20, and we ask you which game elements have the best game feel. Welcome to Level 294. My name is Kole Ross.
I'm Dennis Furia.
I'm David Myersmith.
I'm Ben Merkel.
And you're listening to The Level. It's a podcast for people who love video games. Thank you so much for tuning in. I am praying to God that my cat, who is on my desk, does not step on the keyboard and pause the recording. That would be bad. And now she is in her window seat where she belongs.
Why do you have a big red button that stops recording, and why is there catnip on it?
I don't know. I think I'm afraid of success. Yeah. That's really all that's going on. I've been incredibly busy with show stuff, too busy to live life. So I'm just going to get that out of the way right now. All of us were here last time, I think. So it's my heuristic is foiled. I don't know who to go to first. So let's say, hey, David, how have things been going? How's your week been?
Pretty good. I feel like I should have something to talk about, but I definitely do not. I got a kettlebell. I guess that's a thing.
Of the musical kind or of the weightlifting kind?
Is there a musical kettlebell?
Nope, I'm thinking of a cowbell.
Okay.
You could get a cowbell-shaped kettlebell.
You could turn it into an instrument.
Yeah. Hit somebody or something real hard with it.
So, David, 6 years ago, I thought you had a kettlebell.
So, a combination of I wanted a heavier one, and then also it turns out that it's really expensive to ship such things.
Yeah.
I can see that.
Yeah, it's probably best just to throw it into a lake, and then order a new one on the other side.
But then you have the strong fish come out of the lake years later, just like in The Simpsons.
God, that's how you get strong fish.
Yeah.
Oh no. I like the idea that CrossFit's like, how can we drive margin? I know, we'll make a workout where the final rep is throw your kettlebell into the lake. 3 rounds.
It's like that meme about throwing car batteries into the ocean.
Oh no.
Is that a meme?
Yeah, it's perfectly legal and it's a real thrill. Yeah, ultimate adrenaline rush or something. Yeah,
don't do that, humans, please.
No, just look it up.
That sounds like a decent way to catch some fish.
I don't know. Does it would it arc enough to kill anything that wasn't right by it?
How does electricity work?
It's salt water, so it'd be more conductive, but that's where my knowledge ends.
Yeah. I mean, let's be honest. Fucking magnets, how do they work?
I don't know. Oh, man. Yeah, so you got a kettlebell, swinging that thing around. How does your downstairs neighbor feel about that?
As long as I don't drop it, I should be good.
So then you're not doing CrossFit.
Well, yeah.
Sorry. I only go on just stereotypes that I've seen in memes. So
where it's kettlebell or juggling for CrossFit.
I know.
Kettlebell juggling is a completely different thing. Huh. It is a thing, though.
Is it?
Oh yeah, that's
is it what it sounds like?
Very traditional, old-time strongman stuff.
That sounds like it'd be terrible for your wrists and forearms.
Yeah.
Oh. I guess if you're trafficking in circus arts, you don't really care about that.
Yeah,
candle that burns twice as bright. Yeah.
I was just waiting to see where you were going with that one.
No. I just wanted to leave because it's the saying: candle that burns twice as bright burns half as long. Circus folk, they live hard.
Yeah.
Yeah. Got to make a living. Yeah. How about you, Ben?
I was going to say, I thought of a heuristic. If it's the same people, You should start marking when we hang up at the end of the phone call, and the first person to hang up should be the first person to go.
Yeah, for first out, first in.
Yeah.
Yeah. Fofi.
LIFO, FIFO.
I'm doing all right, though. I had a pretty hectic week at work, so I'm very happy that has kind of quieted down now. So that is good. And then I had friends move to a new house today, so I'm going to check that out this coming weekend. So, yeah.
Wait, didn't you just get off like your hectic week at work?
That was like a month ago. Yeah, this was like a surprise hectic week. I think I mentioned it last week, but I'm not sure if I mentioned it on air or not.
There's no line. Between on air and off. Actually, there is.
Oh, okay.
Absolutely. Yeah. No, the green room is safe. But,
all right, that's a good test.
Like attorney-client privilege?
Yeah, kind of. Or I guess like the privilege is me not being a dick to you guys and making public something you thought was private.
Appreciate that.
Yeah. No, it just seems like a decent thing to do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's literally the least you could do.
Yes.
Yeah. Interesting fact. In New York, it's actually legal to record someone without consent.
It's a one-party consent or no party consent?
Yeah. One-party consent because of the history of organized crime.
Sure.
Yeah. No.
That just to me seems like the most like, I don't know, like blunt force way of dealing with like organized crime.
There's more than one single party consent state though. I used to know. I used to know this back when.
Why did you used to know this?
So studying media law. In school. Yeah.
I believe in Texas you have to let somebody know if you're recording them. It's like illegal not to do that.
Yeah. So when you said you can record them with no with no consent or whatever, I was like, are you talking about no party consent? Like, just it is legal to record two people who do not know that they're
neither of them. I do not know if I'm recording this conversation right now.
Yeah.
We call it the creeper law.
I feel like the policy is is there a microphone anywhere near you, then assume the conversation is being recorded.
No, it's like guns. Always assume it's loaded. Yeah. Mm-hmm. No, they're like five or six. Single party consent.
I thought you were going to say it's like guns. Always assume they're listening.
Yeah.
I thought you were going to say it's like guns. I have 5 or 6 around right now.
No. I went to a range once a couple of weeks ago. I did not.
Got the fever, dude.
I would like to go again. It's fun, but no, I do not own a gun. Let alone enough guns for a gun rack. Yeah. How about you, Dennis?
Nothing
How many
too crazy.
You? No.
Sorry. I don't own.
You don't talk. Hey, Dennis. Hey, Dennis. Real quick.
What's that?
I made the mistake. You never tell people what you have, even if you don't have it.
Yeah. No, I was going to say I don't own 5 pistols. I own a pistol of a 5-year-old. I was trying to go there.
Yeah.
My oldest kid turned 5 yesterday. So I was trying to.
Congratulations.
Yeah, trying to work that math out in my head. Yeah. There's a pun in there somewhere. I'll come back next week with it. Finalize. I'm still too high on cupcake icing.
Yeah.
To think straight.
I was gonna say your dad jokes are turning into granddad jokes.
Yeah, that's right. It just takes about 5 minutes and then you just peter out.
Yeah.
No, so that yesterday was the party and we just gorged ourselves on. It was circus themed. So animal crackers, frosted animal crackers. There was a Ferris wheel of cupcakes, which was awesome. And just all manner of party food. And really, really got after it there because this marks the first day of a Whole 30 that Jen and I are starting. So this will be our
it's like a Fat Tuesday type thing.
Exactly. Yeah. So yeah, on the first day of a Whole 30, that's fun. Have a 5-year-old, that's fun. And lots of crazy stuff going on. So
yeah, this isn't your first Whole 30, is it?
No, we've done 2 before this. And I always say, it takes a little bit of extra planning and effort on the meals, but you eat really well during a Whole 30. Like it's good food, it's tasty stuff. You just like can't really eat out as much.
I mean, like anytime you have to think about what you're eating, you eat better. Yeah. It's almost like being like on autopilot as far as food goes, leads to just terrible. Yeah.
Yeah.
Leads to
it's like any metric you watch over enough time, you want to improve. So like looking at your weight every day, it's just like, oh, all right, now I'll think about this the rest of the day.
Yeah, I was talking to my parents and they're thinking of trying keto, which kind of disturbs me because like I didn't know people who were not bros were allowed to do keto.
That's a thing.
Oh my God, your parents are secret bros. But we're doing like a Whole30 Light where mostly it's just like maybe not dairy, maybe not alcohol, maybe not grains so much.
Maybe not greens.
Grains.
No,
okay. Greens.
I was going to say, what kind of diet discourages greens?
It's like a Lent diet.
Oh my God. So Jen's grandfather on the other side, sorry, Ben, for a time decided that he was going to be on an all-white diet.
That sounds like a horrible idea.
He decided himself that was the healthy thing to do. I don't know where he got the idea, but he'd only eat like potatoes and rice and things that were white.
Don't worry though, he's all white.
I guess.
That sounds A, like it'd be very boring, and B, like it wouldn't have enough
fruits.
Yeah, I can't think
of
almonds.
Yeah.
Almonds and rice are complete protein.
You do cauliflower, I guess.
So is white rice complete?
White rice is not. You
have to have the germ, right?
Plus beans.
Yeah.
Wait, what makes something complete? Nuts. Let's turn this into a diet podcast. What makes something complete?
It has all of the amino acids that the human body cannot synthesize on its own.
So like there's 7 of them, right? There's 23 total, 7 of them you can't synthesize on your own.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
And apparently though, did I have this conversation before? Apparently animals that are carnivores are able to synthesize the things that human beings can't, which is why they're able to like, cats don't get scurvy or whatever.
And scurvy's more about vitamin C. We've talked about that when I've talked about feeding Greta and her generally being a hungry girl. But they also, like cats, they're obligate carnivores, but like one of the reasons is that they require taurine and they cannot derive taurine from plant sources.
So you just get the Monster energy drinks all the time?
Yeah, no, you just give them all the guarana that they need. Cool. Well, good luck on your whole. I was about to say whole 40, and about getting you whole another 10 in the clink.
Well, if it's my third Whole30, is it a whole 90 now?
I think so. I mean, it would have to be contiguous. Is the thing. I don't know that I'm going to let you.
Yeah.
I'm not going to let you fudge that. Yeah. Well, if that's all of us, if that's banter, I would also like to wish Jala a happy birthday. I mean, so by the time this comes out, it'll have been a little bit ago. It was yesterday as the time we're recording. So, happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Simple.
Happy birthday.
Yeah. David?
David,
you don't wish her a happy birthday?
I don't believe in birthdays. I think
you're a Jehovah's Witness.
At least no,
I think they're a myth. They're a conspiracy.
Yeah. You could be like the Koreans. I think the Korean people, if I am not mistaken, they celebrate their birthday as roughly the time of conception. Is what I think. But I believe I've heard that.
It's like how to make things really awkward.
Well, you have to have some frank conversations with your parents, but if it's part of the culture, it's fine. It's just what you grow up with.
You could go the Lewis Carroll approach and celebrate your unbirthday.
Yeah, I'm not sure if that's Korea. I've heard that about something. And it may be
a person's Korean age goes up on New Year's Day, not on their birthday.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's less creepy. Yeah, I don't know where I got the other one. Then
that was just somebody
trying to drink.
Point need to justify I'm not too old for her.
Sounds like someone who was born in October.
Yeah, they didn't do the
2/3
plus 7 rule or whatever, 1/2 plus 7. Yeah, trying to get in, trying to weasel out of being creepy.
It sounds like someone forgetting someone's birthday and being like,
"Oh yeah,
no,
it still counts."
Yeah,
I think that I may have misheard 2 random half facts. I heard Koreans celebrate their birthday on New Year's Day, and then I heard like something about Conception Day somewhere else, and I just synthesized the two. So I apologize if in my ignorance.
We get new traditions.
There's too much information, and I think we just found the way that Kole is consolidating facts. Like you got to get streamlined somewhere.
Yeah, there has to be some compression that goes on. You know, it's a good combination. Ignorance
Conception
and also
Day and New Year's.
No, a good combination is ignorance and also a joy in sharing
confidence.
Facts. Yeah, ignorance and confidence. We call that being American.
Isn't that like, was it Dunning-Kruger effect or whatever?
Yeah.
As opposed to the Freddy Krueger effect?
Mm-hmm. As opposed to the Peter principle or Peter Kruger. Yeah. I don't know who Peter Kruger is.
You get promoted so high that you start killing children.
Oh, no.
I think that's some banter. Happy birthday, Jala. And we've got the regular kind of show for you. We're going to talk about the games we've been playing. We are going to hit up a multiplayer and then round out with some news stories that are exciting us. And why don't we get started with
The Grind.
The Grind, where we talk about the games we have been playing over the past period of time or so. Since we have the same lineup this time as we did last time, I will go first because I went last time. All that I've been doing is more Graveyard Keeper, but I am one quest away from finishing it.
By the way, can we call this the Cloud Atlas order?
But possibly.
All right.
Yeah, why not?
How do you know that you're one quest away, Kole?
Because there are 6 items that you need to open the portal back home. And I have 4 of them, and all of the quests that I have done to get those other 4 have gotten me 2 at a time. I'm right up at the edge. Unless there's something like big after this, I'm going to be done tonight. So
thanks.
Exciting.
Yep, I'm ready. I'm ready to be done with it. I would like to see the end. I feel like I have plumbed the depths of this, including the expansion. Something that's interesting about the kind of the end game of this is that, in Stardew Valley, which is the comparison that a lot of people make for really obvious reasons, for understandable reasons, you kind of can pick and choose the systems you would like to engage with, so like if you don't want to fish, there's nothing that stops you, because accepting kind of the oh gosh, your grandpa's tombstone, where you can get like points assigned for having done stuff. Like, you don't have to do everything in the game in order to max out that score and get like the cool statue that gives you all kinds of resources every single day. Like, you don't want to fish, so just kind of leave that for everybody else. If you need fish for a recipe, just go buy them on a particular day. You hope they show up at the market, etc. With all of the 6 kind of end game quest givers, where you're trying to build up their reputation and go through all the things that they're asking you for, you really have to be at the top of the tech tree and making the best quality stuff in order to satisfy their needs. So like with some of them, you can buy things from other people, but like for one of them that I just did, you have to write a gold star level book that he can take and pass off as his own work in order to gain his help. And to do that, like, you need to have been collecting stories, like these items that drop after you research things or after you do quests, and work on all of the components necessary, paper crafting and alchemy, in order to create like tanning ingredients to make a hard cover, and then metalworking and jewelry to make the inlays for the highest quality book, etc. And down the line, that those dependencies echo and cascade across. So like I expected when I stepped in, I was like, I'm not really that interested in the farming side of this. I'll do whatever I need to make money, but that's about it. No, you kind of have to go all in on everything, and the complexities interlock with each other in a way that I didn't expect in the first go, given that the comparison is to Stardew, which is, a really full featured game, but there's not so much in the way of like dependencies between the different crafts that you can do. Right.
This sounds like, spoiler alert, the ending of Subnautica, where like they suddenly say like, oh, you need these 10 things. And you're like, oh, you had never mentioned this before in the game that this was important. Like, this is kind of bad game design.
Little bit.
Yeah, that's the point where I stopped playing Subnautica.
Well, fortunately for me, like I had been doing the quests for all of these quest givers relatively evenly. And the way that they stagger them and the way that they make the way that they make advancement work is that oftentimes you're carrying stuff in between them. So you have to keep them roughly in line with each other, which means that you're doing it, like just like a chunk at a time, as opposed to getting to the very end and then just suddenly discover, like you don't get to the point where you have to make a hardcover book and you have never touched alchemy in your life or in the game. You've never touched alchemy in the game. And all of a sudden you have to get this. You have to build the stuff and then make this component just by virtue of getting further in the other stuff, by virtue of following the quest, which you're going to want to do because even though the systems are complex, they're relatively, there's not much to them aside from making money. If you're looking for any kind of progression, you are going to be advancing everything a little bit at a time. But the Subnautica comparison is not, it's not unapt, I think. Sorry, let me rephrase that. The Subnautica comparison is apt. Yeah. But yeah, no, I'm going to be done with it, and I'm going to put it down, and I think the next thing I'm moving on to is Dragon Quest Builders.
So if, let's say you open the portal, and it's like, oh no, you let loose the held soul, you need to get 16 more things to finish it. You walk away? I would look at the wiki to see what more is beyond that, because I feel like I have put in my time. I've gotten my worth out of it. If what it is going to ask me to do is onerous, I'm going to let it be. Cool.
Yeah. No, so that's it. That's Graveyard Keeper.
Good times.
Yeah. Let's see here. Ben, how about you?
Yeah, so I think doing the same thing over and over again. I've continued to play Assassin's Creed Odyssey. I've gotten to the point where I passed the first, of 3 milestones of a certain strategy. I've passed the second one. If that makes sense. I try not to give away what the mechanic is because it's a surprise.
The second one.
Yeah. There's like one mechanic that they have where it's kind of like a power of 6 sort of thing, where it's like there's a huge goal and then there's 6 pretty big goals and then like 36 goals.
Gotcha.
I know what you mean. Yeah.
Okay. Yep.
Yeah. Anyway, so I did the first, and what's interesting is, so they make it seem like this is an optional quest. Like in the, like when you go to there's a tab in the menu for like different quests you can do. However, doing this progression on this quest, it ties into all the other like major quests too. You have like another quest where you're trying to repair a certain weapon. You have another quest where you're trying to find certain people. And like all of them are involved, like going through this quest. So it's kind of like it's kind of weird that they kind of pigeonholed everything through this, even though like they make it seem like it's an optional thing you can do in the quest menu. Anyway, that's like a minor complaint. A more major complaint with the game is it's starting to kind of outwear its welcome, where like the quests are kind of running together a whole bunch. They're becoming very like fetchy feeling. Yeah, it's getting to be a little bit of a drag. I think I'm level 29 now, 29 close to 30. And the other thing that's a problem too is I'm at the point where, so I look at these like 3 or 4 different branches of these like overarching objectives, And it's like, well, I can't do any of these because they're all in areas that I'm not high enough level to be in yet. So what's left to do are like these like small like side missions where it's like, go meet this person and like kill this person who wronged them or something like that. You know, it's like, but it's like a person completely unrelated to any other part of the game. You know, it's like these small one-off quests. So like that part's been a little bit frustrating. I guess maybe they want you to also just explore the world maybe on your own without like having directed missions to like kind of level up. But it's at the point where right now I can't do any of the missions that are the main branch ones, so I have to do other stuff in order to progress the game later. So that's kind of frustrating. The other thing that's frustrating too is like their leveling system is not great. It basically just serves as a way to block you out of certain areas. As you level up, the rest of the world levels up with you. And so it's like the first area you go to when you're like a level 10 or whatever, you can go back there as level 29 and the fights are about the same. Like you're not like just like crushing people there. Like you're probably going to win. Like even if you have just like 2 levels above someone, you have like a pretty big advantage. But everybody scales up. So like everyone in that area might just scale up to 2 levels below you, you know? So that's like kind of like a disappointing feature of it, where it's like it feels like they set the rules where it's like, okay, we're going to map out all the difficulties and tell you what it is in this world, but now we're going to just change it so that you have like the same fighting the entire time, and we're just going to box you out of these areas, you know. So it just feels kind of artificial. Yeah, I don't know what else to say about that. One cool feature I found to try and add some sweet to the bitter. Is I figured out there's different rarity items that you get. It's like I think the colors are like black, blue, purple, gold, or is the progression for the rarity. But I realized that going back to the one mechanic that I don't want to talk about is whenever you complete any of those missions, you get an item of a gold quality, and they all are pertaining to different sets. So each set is like a different style of armor, where if you have all 5 of the pieces, then it'll give you some sort of bonus. And each of the armor sets kind of are related to different strategies in the game. So for example, the one that I unlocked was like it's called the snake set, and it gives you buffs for using this like poisoning ability, which is one of the abilities you can unlock. So if you have all 5 of the armor, and then you can respec your character at any time, so you can respec and just go heavy on poison, then it makes it pretty fun. Like you're really effective with that strategy. And so that was like pretty cool that you could do that, and you could do that on the fly. So like the other one that I want to get that I have 4 of the 5 of is one that buffs like fire attacks, where you can like light your blade on fire and you can attack people with that, and then they come on fire, and then they seem less interested in fighting you when they're on fire, so they run away.
They got other concerns.
Yeah. So like there's a armor set that buffs that. The only downside is it's like you have to get all 5 to get the giant buff. Each of the individual pieces will provide like a minor buff, like add 4 seconds of burning, or build up is 50% faster, or blah blah blah.
It's like Witcher armor.
Yeah. So that part's pretty cool. I think that's like a fun like collectible type thing that has actual gameplay mechanic effects with it. So so I like that aspect. I ran out of money really quick upgrading the armor though, because like you get these pieces of armor at whatever level you're at when you do whatever the mission is. So they're kind of all over the place. Like some of them might be level 12 from when I first got them, and some of them might be like level 30 where I'm at now. So if you want a set, you have to like upgrade them and go to a shopkeeper. And so you have to, I think I hadn't really been spending money on things. So I had like 50,000, whatever. I think drachmae is the currency of the game, which is the currency of Greece. So I spent all of that to upgrade the 2 armor sets that I have, or I guess the 1 4/5 armor set that I have. And now I'm like flat broke. So that's a little bit of a downside, but I don't know. But that mechanic in general I was pretty pleased with. Yeah, so I wanna beat this game. I'm in a weird spot where it's like I want to beat the game, but I also don't want to grind for another, I don't know, 10 or 20 hours to try and increase levels. Yeah. So I don't know. I don't know what to do about that. I wish I had a Game Shark situation right now where I could kind of level up quickly.
I am not mentioning this to start a thing, and it's also going to sound sarcastic. Like, one of the things that is sucky about these games now is that the Game Shark is to do an in-app purchase.
Yeah, I'm not going to do that.
I do not blame you. But like around the time, shortly after Assassin's Creed Odyssey came out, people were saying, "Oh, the best way to play this is to spend $10 and get the infinite double XP bonus," which struck me as not great.
Yeah.
It didn't seem like the kind of thing you'd want to encourage. It seems like the best thing to do would be to ignore that those things exist.
Yeah, it's like as people who make the game, it's like you should probably just make your game a fun experience to play through and not a slog.
No, don't make it so that somebody is willing to pay to be extracted from the bad resource curve that you have put them on.
Yeah, and
I just want everyone to be whales, though.
They have like instead of like, it's similar to like the Arkham games, where they have a lot of areas that are like forts and stuff like that, where they kind of encourage you to like take down people a few at a time, like stealthily. If you can. If you fight everyone at once, you'll probably die. You'll probably get overwhelmed. But it's definitely not as like slick as the Arkham games. It's, kind of easy to cheese, I guess. It's like you can try to assassinate someone halfway and then just run away from them and jump on the other side of a wall and they can't find you. And then you get to another high point and then you assassinate them the rest of the way again. Like, it's stuff that's like really like kind of cheesy like that. I don't know. Whatever. I mean, I still like the game on the whole. Like, I think it's above average and still like funnish to play.
Yeah.
But yeah, it seems like there's just probably more filler content than I would like.
Yeah.
So yeah.
That's a bummer.
Yeah.
That it would get in its own way for kind of not very good reasons. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyway, that's all I have to say about that, unless there's any questions for that game. Yeah, the other two things are super small. I played some more Slay the Spire. That game's still great. Yeah, I don't know if I mentioned this or not. Similar to like what I was talking about before, there's like 3 levels of beating Slay the Spire, and but here it's like a factor of 3 instead of a factor of 6. Anyway, I've beaten like the 2nd level of beating the game with one of the characters, but I haven't beat it with the other 2, so I'm trying to do that. But it's like super hard, even with like runs where you're like really, really good by the end of like the first 3 worlds. Like, you might get completely owned by the next level of like what you have to fight. So like the only run that I was able to beat that 2nd level, like it was very particular things that I had picked up to like counter that sort of boss. So I don't know, but luckily I don't really have to worry about grinding for that because the game is fun to play. So I'm happy enough just playing the game by itself. Yeah, and if I ever stream for a Duckfeed like thing again in the future, that's probably something I would like to play and stream, just because I think it's a lot of fun.
People would love that. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. That game's great. Guess probably no questions about that. And then the last thing is I watched a YouTube video on how to play Autochess, but I haven't actually played it yet. I'm at the edge of the pool and I'm thinking about diving in, but I don't know.
So we can spend just a little bit of time on this, and I don't want to spend a lot of time talking about things that none of us have played. Somebody asked us on a recent WAF dispatch, asked me and Gary, have either of you guys gotten into auto battlers or auto chess?
Yeah.
And like I didn't know what those were, and that's not me doing a hipster kind of thing. Believe what you want about my motivations for that. I just honestly didn't know. I did like a cursory Google search, but I still don't understand. Can you give me like a paragraph summary about what auto chess is?
Yeah. So the breakdown of it, I'm not sure how the fighting pairs up, because I know at certain points you're fighting computers and at other points you're fighting other people. But the way it goes is there's like a group of like maybe like 8 to 12 people. You have a certain amount of money, like so you might start off with like 10 gold or 20 gold. Every round you get 5 gold, and the premise is you have a market of people that you can buy, like characters you can buy. On your turn, I think depending upon the round, you put a certain number of characters on the board. The board's the same dimensions of a chessboard. That's where the chess part of Autochess comes from. So it's like an 8x8 board. You are confined to half of the board, the 4x8 section, and your opponent's confined to the other 4x8 section. So what you do is with however many characters you have, you're limited by round. So I think at the start of it, you might only have like, I don't know, like 3 or something like that, but it goes up to like 9, something like that. Again, haven't played this, so don't quote me on this. But what you do is you set up where your characters are on the board. And so part of what it is finding out good configuration. So for example, like having ranged people in the back and like fighters in the front is like a pretty good strategy of how you want to do it.
Yeah.
And so all you do is set up the configuration of the fighters, and then you lock that in, and then they automatically fight one another. And then whoever has the last man or women or men or woman standing wins the round. And if you win the round, I think what the rewards are, and the one that I'm quoting for right now, I think is Dota Undergrounds. That's the one that I was looking at.
Okay.
If you win the round, you have your choice of like one of 3 things, and I think they can be either like equipments or something else. If you lose, I think you just get a random item, I think. And then the other thing that's interesting is each round you get 5 gold, just like a flat 5 gold, but then you also get interest for the amount of money that you have. So for every 10 gold you have, you get 10% of that. So for every 10 gold, you get 1 gold in addition. So that's where the interesting strategy comes in, where it's like, okay, I want to improve my team, but I want to do it very cheaply and very efficiently, because if I can do that, I can eventually get a bunch of money, and then I can outpace the other people by buying like higher quality people. The other thing with the market too is you can pay like, I think 2 gold to get a new set of people. So that's where like the interesting game mechanic comes in. And it feels kind of similar to Magic too, where it's like, it's a lot of knowing the relative strengths of characters and being able to assess that really well. And be able to know like what you should buy and what you should skip. Yeah. So that's kind of like a short rundown of what it is.
Gotcha. So I guess my question is, do you have a sense of why this is kind of the hot new thing, and like what is compelling you to take an interest in this?
For me, what interests me about it is it takes since it's not like a real-time strategy thing, and that's what interests me about it. Because I personally don't like games like that where you have to be like RTS is where you have to be like very fidgety and very on top of things and very quick and stuff like that.
Where it's about execution. You're more into the planning kind of aspect of stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And so that's what interests me about this. And it feels similar to like drafting in Magic and stuff like that, where it's like high number of combinations and like trying to find like synergies within that. Like so it feels like a very similar like strategy and thought process as like Magic the Gathering. So
gotcha.
That's what interests me about it. It's also free, so that could be something maybe. So
I
don't know.
It sounds like a thing people would watch and bet on.
Yeah, that's like one hesitation is I feel like people are probably really good at it. Like the nice thing about Magic, quote unquote, again, I always have this with an asterisk if I'm not encouraging anyone to play Magic because it's a money sink, don't do it. But the nice thing about that is since they release sets every like quarterly, like the I guess the knowledge gap or whatever resets with that, so like you don't have people who are like experts that you're playing at as like a newbie. You can get in at any new set and you're at the same like strength as other players. I don't know if they have that here, right? So like people who have played the game since the beginning might be crushing everyone else, so there might be kind of like a high barrier to entry right now. So that's like one worry, but I don't know. We'll see.
Cool.
Again, this podcast is turning into talking about playing games and not actually playing games.
I'm just curious because this lines up with something that I basically had to admit ignorance to a couple of weeks ago. I'm just curious because it feels like it's sprung up.
Yeah, this seems like much more interesting to me than like things like battle royale games. Yeah.
Nice.
So if that's the way game fads are going, I'm okay with it.
Let's see here. Dennis, what have you been playing?
Yeah, so I have finally finished the VR version of Borderlands 2.
Ooh.
And that was exciting. I think I mentioned on previous episodes that I got to a point that I thought was the end, and it very much wasn't. And I was questioning, like, did I actually ever finish this game? And I legitimately did not remember the last, like, 2 areas. But when I walked into the final boss arena, I was like, oh, I've been here before. Okay. And, like, remembered it very clearly. So it's weird how, well, I was going to say it's weird how place can jog your memory. And similarly weird how digital place can do the same thing, right? Like it was a very specific memory of like, okay, I remember being in this boss arena. I also remember sitting on my couch and that it was like 3 a.m. and I had told myself I was going to power through to the end of the game. And like, it's just very, very clear memory that I like before I didn't even remember if I ever finished the game. So weird to have that jog me so strongly.
I had the exact same thing happen to me last week when you were mentioning it. I looked up a YouTube video of it and I was like, oh yeah. Yeah.
That boss fight is baller in VR. Like you're fighting basically a 5-story tall dragon monster type of thing. That at various parts will like crawl over the arena that you're in to the other side. And just literally having to like look up physically to shoot at it and then watch it, go over you or like see that its tail is winding up and jump behind cover. Like it's just really, really, really cool in VR. There are other pieces of the game that don't translate as well, that don't feel as cool. When it's stuff that you do in any shooter, right? Especially one that has a high time to kill, where you're kind of standing next to an NPC and just holding down the fire button and waiting for them to die. Doesn't feel super cool. Fighting a giant dragon monster that is, 40 times your size. Really, really cool in VR. Also, Jack's final monologue is very good. I love that his final words is "I am the goddamn hero," which is just I've raved before about what a good villain that is.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'm glad I played it all the way through to the end. I'm glad that I made the class decision I did. I did a Gunzerker with dual wielding pistols. And that worked out real well for me. It was a ton of fun, especially in the final area. You're fighting pretty much a half and half mix of humans and robots. And so I had one fire pistol, one corrosive pistol. Corrosive is good for robots. Fire is good for humans. Or bad for those things respectively, but good for the person shooting them.
Good against.
Yes, good against. And so just dual wielding those and firing at the various targets as you're running through the level was a ton of fun. And not something that you could do if you weren't in the VR version of the game, because you could aim at 2 separate targets at the same time.
I was going to ask about that. That sounds really, really good.
Really cool, really freaking cool.
I mean, you're going to waste a lot of shots, but if you're going akimbo, it's more about the feeling than the effect.
And that you definitely, because gunzerking gives you all these bonuses as well. It's basically a god mode, and it was really, really fun, empowering gameplay.
Nice.
Yeah. So that was Borderlands 2. The rest of my gaming time has really gone to a physical game versus a video game. And it's the physical game that I'm actually kind of working to create here. So this is the Solitaire meets Hearthstone meets the Legacy mechanic from Pandemic and Risk Legacy, card game that I've talked about before. And I realized that I'm going to be at Gen Con this weekend. I've been planning on being there for months because I want to see Glass Cannon live, podcast live show. And I was like, I've been having fun creating this thing. I'm really proud of it. I should try to post up somewhere in Gen Con and show it off, see if I can get some traction. And so I'm going to do just that. I'm in the process of trying to get some prototype card decks printed. And hey, if you're at Gen Con, hit me up on Slack or wherever and see if you can find me. I will be showing off the prototype version of what I'm calling, at least for now, Deck of Wonders.
Nice.
Yeah. So I mean, it's kind of funny. I literally because I'm way past the deadline to sign up for a booth or anything like that, like anything official. And I don't quite feel like buying a badge because for a significant portion of it, I'm not going to be able to be there because of the show I'm going to see.
Right.
And so I just called up the Starbucks closest to the convention center and just asked him. I was like, hey, if I like Gen Con's going on, if I post up at one of your tables and I'm buying coffee and I have some signage to like play test a game with people, is that okay? And the guy, it was the Starbucks is actually in a hotel lobby. And the guy was like, yeah, although, I mean, there's some bigger tables out in the lobby. So if you want to post up there, it's probably higher traffic, like better. Like, he's like helping me strategize. I'm like, this is perfect.
That's really cool. It sounds like you got somebody
really
who's
cool.
been there for a little bit and isn't just like reading off of the script. Like, what are you talking about?
Exactly. So that's exciting. And per some pointers from Ben, I might be in that Starbucks or I might be at a coffee roastery nearby that's a little more local and closer to like the food truck alley. We'll just see. I'll kind of my plan is to just go and show up and see what happens.
Nice.
But I'm very excited about that. David, we were trying to decide beforehand if you've been on the show when I've talked about this card game. Have you? Do you remember?
I think maybe really early on, but nothing where it was anything more than just like an idea.
Yeah, so I did to practice the pitch, I guess. Like I said, Solitaire meets Hearthstone meets the Legacy mechanic. You draw and play cards just like you would in a Hearthstone or trading card game, but every card has a top and a bottom side. The top side is yours, what that card is for you. The bottom side is what that card is for the villain. And you and the villain are drawing from the same deck. So you decide that the villain gets a set of cards, that's a fixed set of cards that you start with, and you decide what cards from your collection to supplement that with to create the deck that you're playing with. And so based on what cards the villain has, you kind of have to think about what combos or counters you need to have to address those things and win. And when it's your turn, you play it like any other game. When it's the villain's turn, it follows a very simple set of rules. So each of your minions that can be on the board has a priority number. And the villain will always attack the cards, your minions, in priority order. But you, the player, decide what order the villain's minions attack in. And so it's kind of the fun of it, the puzzle that you're constantly solving is what order do I have the villain attack in to make them as inefficient as possible. Mm-hmm. And that's a ton of fun. And then on your turn, you're making the decisions of, all right, if I ignore him and go face now, does that mean he's going to kill these minions? All the villain minions have the equivalent of like rush in Hearthstone, or what's it called when a minion can attack the same turn that it's played for Magic the Gathering.
It's haste in Magic.
Haste, there you go, yeah. So basically the villain minions always have haste, which just, again, it's kind of a simple AI that the villain is running on, so their card's a little bit OP to make up for it. And so that means that every turn when you flip the villain's card, there's going to be a minion that is an unknown quantity that you have to deal with. And so you make all your decision making on your turn with incomplete information. Then on the villain's turn, you have complete information, but kind of have to manage a bad situation to be as favorable for you as possible. And I've gone through 9 iterations of the game, different card lists and rule sets and everything. And I've got it to a place where it is just like really interesting, compelling decision making on every single play. The games are close. Like if I'm winning, I'm winning with like 4 health left or 1 health left. And if I'm losing, I'm anywhere on the spectrum. Sometimes you get stomped. Sometimes you're so close. And it's just, I had a game where I was on the verge of winning and then just through a series of unlucky draws went all the way from basically 28 health down to 0 with the villain sitting on like 4 health total. And it was just like, infuriating, but at the same time, really fun and interesting. So that's it's like I'm having a ton of fun just playing it myself. I can't wait to share it with other people. I have huge ambitions with the idea that every villain can have a unique set of rules or conditions based on them and their cards. So you can do something really unique and interesting, just like Hearthstone does with its single player content with every villain that you introduce to the game.
So is there a scenario where another player plays the villain?
Theoretically, yes. The villain's cards are intentionally overpowered to deal with the fact that it's kind of that you are constantly kind of messing with its attack order to make it inefficient. So the villain kind of has to be a little bit overpowered. If there ever was like if you had another player playing, I think they'd be able to win very easily as the villain. If you wanted to play like player cards versus player cards, I imagine you could do that. But I haven't messed around with that. My kind of where I'm focused right now is purely a solitaire game.
Sure. Cool.
This is a question for Ben, but I just want to confirm the idea of having a card that is different for both of the players or both of the sides of whatever conflict. That's something from Twilight Struggle, isn't it? Or that is something that is used in Twilight Struggle?
Twilight Struggle, the difference is there's cards that belong to, they're like US cards and Russia cards, and you just don't get dealt like a random 7 cards. And
Gotcha.
So if you're the US and you have a Russia card, then if you play it, it's going to help them out some way. So
okay.
Interesting.
Yeah. I just for some reason what Dennis hit on there sounded familiar, but it had been a long time since I had played that with you. So
you dominated me in it. Yeah,
I just barely edged you out, and that was beginner's luck because I didn't know what a bad decision was.
And so the final thing that I'm super excited about is that legacy mechanic aspect, where if let's say you lose 4 times in a row, open pack B. And that will have some either new set of rules or new cards that you add to the set that might help you out a little bit. Or, after your 3rd win, open pack A, and that will have cards that make the game harder. And so there's kind of these layers to, all right, you beat it kind of in the regular mode. Now try beating it on this challenge mode, or you're getting your ass handed to you. Well, here's a new mechanic that might, if you can figure it out, help you out. And that, the potential of that, it can go all sorts of different directions. And make it so that playing, people play solitaire all the time, and those rules never change. Mm-hmm. So this is a game that you can play in its base form just for fun, and I've enjoyed it that way. But then the rule set will kind of evolve as you beat a villain or lose to a villain again and again.
Nice.
That sounds pretty cool.
Yeah, I am super pumped. I've got a friend helping kind of get together the print file for some of the cards. I have my sister-in-law is an artist, and I sent her some of the concepts for the card names, and she's going to send some art. So I won't have art for everything, but I'll have some examples to demo. And then depending on how expensive printing is, once I get the quote tomorrow morning, I could even potentially be selling kind of the base pack of this with just the base set of cards and the first villain. With the promise of hey, you play this, it's fun, and then in the future there's going to be an official version, there will be multiple villains, etc.
Here's hoping they become collector's editions.
Woohoo! Yeah,
all
I'll
our
sign each
playsets
one
and toys.
So yeah, super excited about that. That has gotten I've played poetic enough. I've played 52 playtest games of it. Just getting the kinks out. So a game for every card in the deck.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, that rules. I'm so happy that this has picked you up on its.
Yeah,
yeah.
I hope it is as fun to hear about as it is to talk about, because I'm super pumped about it. I hope I'm not boring you guys to tears.
what was the name of it so I can put it in the notes?
Yeah, I'm calling it Deck of Wonders.
Okay.
That is subject to change. We will see.
Nice. When is Gen Con?
Starts on Thursday.
Okay. Are you taking your wife to it?
Jen is coming out on Friday afternoon with the kids. We actually have friends in Indy that we're going to see as well.
Any convention she is at is a Gen Con. Boom.
I have to say, the patience to not force that until the very end is excellent. Loved it. Oh, that's great.
Don't encourage him.
You have to set up a volley for a spike.
Yeah. I will take it every time.
Awesome. Well, is that all?
That's me.
Cool. David, how about you?
Not a whole lot. I'm continuing on with Warframe. So this is probably going to be kind of the preview for the next several grinds for me.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see here. I unlocked the healing Warframe, which is Trinity, and That's not working real well for me. I don't know. The way it's sort of got a gameplay balance somewhat similar to actually like Borderlands, where you tend to have two modes, like completely all right and dead, which then makes it really, really hard to heal anyone, because once they get in trouble, you have very, very little time to heal them up. So I'm kind of still feeling that out, but I've been getting really into the more the open world mechanics. So Dennis, I've spent most of the last week doing battle with the sentient rocks.
Oh God, no!
No! It turns out that on Earth during the day everything's cool, but once night falls, the sentient rocks rise up out of the water, and from when they were last defeated in ages past, and wander across the landscape trying to find their lost parts so that they can rise anew. And it's basically one of the main big boss battles where you have to basically fight this giant Geodude. Yeah, monster thing that's kind of clomping across the ground. It's real interesting. I'm not going to go into too much detail because it gets into some story things, but it's interesting. You eventually get an ability that is kind of a secondary mode for your frame, and in that you can basically go invulnerable for certain periods of time. So it's really interesting game play in that it has a ton of very powerful AoE attacks, but it becomes less about actually dodging than it is just selectively going invulnerable. But yeah, so it's, I don't know, I unfortunately can't say a whole lot without giving away some of the more interesting story elements, but it is a lot of fun. On the other hand, on Venus, that's at night. On Earth during the day, there's now this week kind of a temporary event that is basically zombies are rising up against you. Ooh. And one of the...
Why do all the enemies have to rise up in the game?
That's just kind of how they roll. In this case, they literally they are buried in seed pods slightly below the earth. So when you walk into their midst, they kind of all burst out of the ground and ambush you. But it's basically one of the factions is this race of clone soldiers that have just for the last, it's kind of ambiguous how long, but, apparently centuries have just been kind of cloning the clones of the clones of the clones.
Uh-oh.
And so have, kind of the genetics have devolved. And so the particularly problematic clones are more or less zombies. And so it's a limited time event, has exclusive loot, stuff like that, which is basically what the game revolves around. So other than that, I think the biggest thing is I'm getting into some of the races for your hoverboard, which are sort of fun. I don't know. It doesn't have that much relation to the rest of the game, but it's just kind of a fun side diversion.
Nice. What do you get for winning those races?
So basically, you build up reputation with the faction that's kind of the urchins, who you can then buy more advanced boards from, and those are just cool, and then also can be used as transportation. The one thing that's a little bit, I think, kind of a misstep is. You can use them in any of the open world areas. However, you can also unlock the ability to just use your kind of spacesuit like jetpack thing in the open world areas, which is dramatically faster.
But probably less stylish.
Less stylish, yes. You cannot like grind on pipes and whatnot as you are racing your way to, save hostages from the Grenier or whatever. But the other thing that's actually a little frustrating is the only way to get the ability to use your space plane thing in outside of space, I guess in atmosphere, is either to be in a clan or to buy it with real money. Okay. Which is a little frustrating, so I'm probably going to join up. There's, a lot of clans that you can just strip will accept anyone and just kind of exist to give people access to some of the exclusive gear.
Yeah.
But it still seems like it's kind of a weird thing that's even a thing to begin with.
Just join it and don't log into group chat at all or guild chat.
Yeah, I mean, I did that in the past, and actually the clan was all right, and most of them tend to be just very overtly about just about playing. So any chat is generally just like, hey, who wants to run such and such?
Yeah.
Which isn't annoying, but yeah. So that's kind of where it's at. Just kind of grinding on getting those basic weapons and then trying to unlock a couple of the more advanced ones.
Nice.
Just watch out for the singing bubble dragons.
Sorry, no bip and bop that I know of.
Okay.
What in the world are you talking about?
I'm making up another thing that it cannot possibly be in this world that probably will be somewhere in this world.
Oh, okay. Yes.
It's just previewing what we're going to talk about next week.
Yeah. Just real quick, speaking of guilds and chatting. Hey Dennis, how are things going with the City of Villains Heroes Guild?
Yeah, I've kind of fallen away from it as I've been more focused on the card game. So not necessarily a bad thing, I would say.
So you haven't joined in.
No interest in that. I think what I might want to do though is just in the Discord be like, there's a channel for like character stories or whatever, and I almost want to be like, hey guys, I'm not really playing that much anymore, but here's the really cool idea I had for where the character I was playing could go. Yeah. Just it's in my head. I want it to be out in the world, and there's a very small group of people that care about that or would have context to understand it, and they're all pretty busy fucking each other.
For when you're just drinking water and eating just bags and bags of peanuts for fuck energy.
Yeah, right.
Peruse this.
Here's my very wholesome idea of a character backstory.
Yeah.
Sorry to disappoint.
I'm not sure that's how people generally approach that. Just start out there.
I was lazy. It's a joke from Parks and Rec. They didn't say fuck energy, but
oh man,
yeah, it's a more wholesome show than that, but not really in that instance.
Only slightly.
Any episode where Tammy 2 shows up, it ends up getting a little rebelled. Yeah. I didn't mean to cut away from yours, David. I just Guild Chat brought it up for me.
Remembered a highly interesting thing. No, yeah. It was interesting while it lasted.
Nice. Anything else, David?
No, I think that's about it.
Cool.
Multiplayer.
Now it is time for the multiplayer, where we ask you a question and then you answer it. Dennis, what is the question that you ask the nice people?
Yeah, I wanted to know about feelings. No, so sometimes the thing that is most fun about games is just that they feel good to play. Like nothing story driven, nothing too crazy. Just that feels good to play them. It's like the shotgun from Halo. It's like web slinging in Spider-Man. And we wanted to hear more thoughts from people listening on what games just feel good to play.
Yeah. Get started here with Austin, who says, the flying and grappling hook in Arkham City always feels so fluid and seamless. Soaring like a bat across the city until I planted my bat boots into a jerk's face will always bring a smile to my face. Yeah, that's a hard-won skill.
It feels real good to definitely be killing people, except we're Batman, so we don't.
No, nobody dies because you're Batman. If you're Batman, nobody dies.
All right, I just figured we're Batman, so they deserve it.
Ben, what does Martinez say?
Martinez says, successfully parrying an enemy in Dark Souls feels fantastic. Hearing the glorious sound when the parry properly connects and seeing the enemy wincing back is awesome.
Yep, that sound is a killing sound. The boom. It's like the low frequency of a gong or something like that. Good stuff. David, what does Devin say?
Devin says, timing the parries and using the assassination skills from Assassin's Creed Odyssey just feels so good.
Does that line up with what you with what you say, Ben?
There's a lot of button mashing in that game. It's not as skill induced and just like, sweet, I happen to block. There's like a wide window, I think, for parrying in that game.
Yeah, but it can still feel good.
Yeah.
Let's see, Dennis, what does Ollie say?
He says, playing a sports game and just hitting the sweet spot, be it a home run in baseball or pinging a volley off in the bar from 30 yards, nothing feels as good as hitting the power bar just right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there was funny enough, there was an article about Devil May Cry 5 where the creator of Devil May Cry 5 actually references, it's like an old baseball game, as the perfect example of a game just feeling good.
Yeah.
And there's a whole audio cue. There's like a freeze frame where the motion freezes for a second when you get everything just right.
Yeah.
I have to look that up, what baseball game that was. But yeah, sports games are good at that, especially anything golf.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
and I feel like that encapsulates everything wrong with the Ninja Theory approach to Devil May Cry.
He's talking about Devil May Cry 5, though.
Isn't it the same team?
No.
No,
same
different
controls?
No, although
Same
Devil
title?
May Cry 5. Devil May Cry 5, you can customize the controls pretty extensively.
Okay,
So
I'll have to give that a shot then, because DMC I just could not play, but maybe Devil May Cry 5.
Yeah.
It has my recommendation, that's for sure.
No, that's
But yeah, anyway, sports games good for the feels.
Yep, that's that's why I like golf games that have the meters. Your hot shots. Everybody's golf is really good for that.
Mario Golf.
Yep. Yeah. Let's see here. Greg writes, it was mentioned in the opening, but the web slinging in Spider-Man 2 is so much fun. Sometimes I just zip around the very realistic New York City and enjoy the feel of doing it and pulling off tricks while seeing how fast I can go. Also, it's a great video game based off of a great movie. Isn't that one of the signs that the apocalypse is upon us? I'd say it's the pestilence and the clouds of grasshoppers so big they show up on weather radars. But yeah, no, good video game movies.
So it's the orange skin on our president.
Yes.
Ooh.
So
Good.
Yeah, I still need to get the new Spider-Man and see if I can find my apartment.
Try it. I mean,
Do it,
also
dude,
it's
that's worth the $60.
Also, it's a really good game.
Yeah. Yeah.
Even if, again, Spider-Man definitely kills the dude.
Oh yeah, no, I don't think Spider-Man has the code.
I mean, they just fall off the building. Who knows what happens?
Oh no,
Yeah.
I'm not
they go
so
out
much.
of sight.
So no, the ones that fall off the building, if you find like every single one of them ends up webbed somewhere. It's the ones, one of the takedown animations, you literally wrap a web around someone's neck and like jerk it to break their neck.
Yep.
It's like that. How did that get through?
I mean,
through QA.
They're still alive, you know. There are arguments about the quality of life, but
he's just letting them take a nap. He's putting them to sleep.
What's coming out of their ears, Daddy? That's just raspberry jam. Let's see. That was me. Ben, what does Casey say?
Casey says, Titanfall 2, grappling hook. The game is all about moving fast and feeling good doing it. I'm terrible at that kind of fast-moving shooter, but running around like a mad robot, then dive-bombing from a crazy angle, thanks to the magic of grapple hook, will never get old.
I wish that the single-player campaign had the grappling hook in it. When I played it for WoF, I didn't do any multiplayer, just because of time and things like that. And fuck yeah, Titanfall 2 is already really, really fun, and a grappling hook would have just made it better.
I feel like Apex Legends is now mostly people talking about how great Titanfall 2 was.
It's a really, really good game. Yeah.
I love the fact that running around like a mad robot is slowly becoming its own genre.
Yeah.
We've got what? We've got Titanfall, Vanquish, Warframe.
God, Vanquish is good. Vanquish and Metal Gear Rising are really good video games. Let's see. David, what does Mike say?
Mike says, I've always loved the Splinter Cell games, while fully acknowledging that they're definitely not to everyone's taste. The challenge with them on a design level has always been balancing high-consequence stealth with fun and accessible ways of getting yourself out of trouble. I think they struck the perfect balance with Splinter Cell Conviction in 2010. Being able to transition from complete stealth to frontal assault and back again still feels effortless and satisfying, even almost a decade later. Blacklist also feels pretty great, but the predecessor felt like lightning in a bottle with its mechanics.
Conviction was the one with the really extensive mark and execute mechanic?
I thought that was Blacklist.
I don't know. I remember playing one where it was just the things that they had added were the ability to see where the enemies think you are, and the mark and execute. Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I stopped playing in Splinter Cell Double Agent, which was the first version on PS3 / the last version on PS2, I remember right.
They were different games, weren't they? The PS2?
Completely different games.
Yeah.
And the multiplayer for PS2, the PS2 version was low-key some of the best multiplayer I've ever done.
Yeah.
That was
real strong cat and mouse stuff.
The versus or the co-op?
Yes.
Well, yeah. Yeah, I know the versus is kind of one of those weird kind of cult games where it's like was really good. A lot of people loved it, but then the company was just kind of sort of similar to the Assassin's Creed one.
Did same company? Did Double Agent? Was the versus on that? Was that the Spies versus Mercenaries?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, yeah, I fucking love that in Pandora Tomorrow.
Yeah. Or there might have also been like Spy versus Spy segments as well.
I think Spy versus Spy is something else.
Yeah, I think it's Mad Magazine. Rest in peace.
Damn it.
Let's see here. That was you, right, David? On Mike? Yes. Dennis, what does Lucas say?
He says the glory kill system from Space Marine went a long way towards immersing you in the larger-than-life setting of Warhammer 40k. The sound design was on point too. Hearing your ironclad boot pulp an orc space didn't get old. In a similar vein, the kill animations from Dawn of War made watching your little dudes on screen a real joy. I remember the first time I watched my chaplain. I'm hoping that's champion, but maybe it's chaplain.
Yeah, chaplain sounds right.
Chaplain.
Yeah.
Oh. Hop up onto the head of a giant
Welcome to
demon.
Warhammer.
Hop up onto the head of a giant demon and crush its skull into the ground. I was floored. Is Dawn of War like an RTS game?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's a cool little detail to have in there.
Yeah. Brutality goes a long way.
Is that that's the Total War, right?
No, Total War is like historical battle kind of things.
But I mean, it's Dawn of War. It's the one that's like the same engine, same people.
No, different one. Dawn of War is a little bit more like Company of Heroes. It's smaller scale battles.
What one am I thinking of?
You're thinking of Total Warhammer.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
It's like Warhammer Total War or something. It's a real bad title that everybody immediately just made into a better sounding thing. Sorry that my cat is being a whiny baby if you're hearing that. Yeah.
Oh, not coming through.
It'll probably come through on the local recording here. Steven writes, the mantle in Doom 2016. Really everything in that game has a great feel, but it's the aggressiveness in such a simple animation that goes a long way in continuing the flow of movement and combat, which is the thing that makes Doom as a whole feel great to play. It would be incredibly frustrating if the hitbox for it to trigger was any smaller or slower, and it would take away some of the fun and the challenge of platforming through the fray of battle if they had made it any more forgiving. An honorable mention for Death Blows and Sekiro. Both of those are good good answers. A lot of stuff in Sekiro feels amazing.
Nice.
But yeah, no, I think that Doom 2016 is a game that lives, and how good it feels to play.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. The good feeling is the mechanic of the game.
Yep. It is the draw.
I feel like the fact that the way you harvest ammo is with a chainsaw. I mean, that just makes everything better.
How do you harvest your ammo?
Yeah, they just went for realism.
Yeah. Let's see, Ben, what does Christopher say?
Christopher says, stealth. I love my Deus Ex and Hitmans. Feels so good when you pull something off without getting caught. And the best mechanic of all, ventilation system mechanics. They never see me coming.
Man, pulling something audacious off in Hitman is one of the best feelings in games.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. David, what does Warren say?
Metal Gear Solid V has some of the best feeling gameplay to me. The smoothness of transitioning from running to crouching to crawling feels so much better than previous games. The great cover system and ease of taking people down as they walk by made for some really great moments. The shooting also feels really good. Everything has a crispness to it. I really can't say enough good things about the gameplay of Metal Gear Solid 5. It's a shame they dropped the ball on what story was there and weren't able to finish it.
Say what you will about anything about Metal Gear Solid 5, it is a triumph of feeling good to play. Yeah, no, it is, man, I want to play that so bad. We had that penciled in to play on WAF this year, and stuff just kind of got in the way of us doing it, and I'm just champing at the bit. Like, I just want to play. It's been 4 years since that came out.
It definitely has the market cornered on Hall & Oates stealth.
Oh man, I heard that song on the PA at a grocery store the other day, and I just couldn't help but smile.
She just started army crawling on the floor for some reason.
It just gave me flashbacks. Dennis, what does Noah say?
Noah says, recalling the axe into your hand in Dad of War is incredibly satisfying. The combination of the whirling sound of it approaching and the shunk into your hand, so good. Kratos' unwaveringly determined stance sells it hard.
You're just ready for it to come back.
It's the badass stance.
Yeah. And then finally here, Dan says, the bow in Horizon Zero Dawn. The impending dread of a number of animal robots charging from different angles. The cinematic gameplay, lighting, music makes it immersive. Being very agile and quick, rolling out of a lunging attack, to turn around and jump so you can knock three fire arrows in bullet time is like no other. Metal. Yeah.
It really is. I regret I took the knock multiple arrows ability kind of late in the game, and by that point my muscle memory was just so far ingrained into firing one at a time that I never used it.
You couldn't add another step. Yeah.
No, I was locked in at that point.
Yeah.
Which I mean it's like a significant upgrade in how much damage you can do, and it's just I never quite got the hang of it.
You were knocked in.
I was really good at finishing a fight and going, shit.
That could have been a lot faster, actually.
It could have been a lot faster, yeah. Or I could have won that.
A lot of recent examples in there. That's good. My example is not necessarily an original one, but the super shotgun in Doom 2 is a phenomenally good feeling weapon. Mm-hmm. But my real answer, and the one I will bring, never owned this game, never played through to completion, but some of the most fun that I had just doing a thing in a game over and over again was when we were in the dorms. Ben, I think that you downloaded a demo for Lego Star Wars 2, the one that that covered the original trilogy. Yeah. And so like I think it was just like the Tatooine Cantina level or something like that. You were just running around on Tatooine, and if you were playing as Chewbacca, your primary move against any enemy, including stormtroopers, was just to walk up and then pull their arms off. So like just going around and just
nice arms. I think I'll take them.
Which would be horrifying if it wasn't just blatantly, the Lego arms that made to pop off.
No, it was just so delightful and so in character of both of the things about that game, both the Lego and the Star Wars. The sound design in it was really good. That to me just kind of always sticks out when I think about game feel. Is it's a little bit like they talk about like how a Cheeto is a perfectly engineered food or a Pringle is a perfectly engineered food, and I'm not just saying that because junk food is funny, but no, just the idea that like, we've got the right crunch and the right amount of, tooth impaction and the right amount of flavor delivered per bite, etc. Like something that is good game feel has to be something you could do compulsively. Right.
It's a power fantasy wrapped up in cuteness. How could you not absolutely love it? Yeah, no, it's just really really elemental. That particular feel. I love it so much. And I think about it when I think about game feel. So yeah. And also it was a good memory. We were just doing that and just laughing over and over again. Like it was just way too much. Yeah. Ben, how about you?
Yeah, so I think I want to strive to say an original answer for this one. So I think I'm going to go with Modern Warfare 2. I thought was one of the best mechanics in terms of like of a really polished shooter. Halo is also a really good answer, but it feels a little bit spacey. Get it? With like the jumping physics and stuff like that. Whereas like Modern Warfare 2 is really tight and like and it was one of those things where it's like there was like a lot of small things that you appreciate later on, as far as like the hitboxes being showed on the trigger when you hit somebody. That was a really solid game.
The snap aim is an extremely good feature. It wasn't necessarily new for Modern Warfare 2. But like just the witch. So just like when you when you pull your gun up, how you kind of like automatically kind of hone in on an enemy. And so you can like chain a bunch of hits by dropping your gun and raising it back up again.
I remember that completely ruining any other shooter for me. Like that muscle memory. Maybe I just have really strong muscle memory here, but just like not being able to do that after experiencing that in Modern Warfare was it was like, this is impossible. How do you even play this game?
It even ruined subsequent Modern Warfare games when they changed the control scheme.
Yeah, no, it just like and my understanding is that actually like mimics like gun technique. The idea of drawing into an aim.
Yeah, exactly.
It just felt really good. Yeah, I would agree with that, Ben. Not that I need to agree with anybody to have their thing
validate me, please.
Yeah, I'll validate you. It's good. That was a good answer.
I remember that feature on the fanning revolvers was quite possibly the only thing I enjoyed in Borderlands 2.
Oh man, fanning revolvers. Ever since I read The Gunslinger, just crazy about it. Although it's in westerns and stuff too. The Gunslinger made it seem cool.
Cole, did I tell you that I finally watched that movie?
Ooh.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
It's a real bummer, isn't it? What made you watch it?
There's moments. What's that?
Well, there's absolutely moments. I think McConaughey generally does a pretty good job. Idris Elba's kind of just there. What made you watch it?
I think I had a free trial of Showtime for a week, and it was just on one of the pages I browsed through. I was like,
weird. Yeah.
Oh no, I take that back. Sorry, that was a different movie. The one, the reason I got The Gunslinger was we were at the library picking up books for Luke and Milo, and I was on a display case.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah.
Literally easily at hand and free.
I wish it was better.
I do too, and there's so much potential there, and there's some really good moments, and then it just
when they're at the hospital. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Sorry. Let's hear David. How about you? Good game feel.
I have a couple I want to go through. I realize I always do. Probably I have to say the one I'm playing now, Warframe, is amazing. I think in particular, just for the degree to which, it actually encourages you to, make use of the random ninja moves. And, I think there's a lot to be said for judging a game not based on what mechanics does it have available, but what mechanics does it teach you to use.
Mm-hmm.
I think the original Devil May Cry was pretty amazing. I think still probably the best control scheme. That and Devil May Cry 3, the best control scheme of any game in that genre I've ever played.
Mm-hmm.
You really do need to play Devil May Cry 5. I think you're gonna like it.
Yeah, I'll just have to find some time when Jala isn't watching. So
no, Well, she might be less okay with DMC5 than DMC. I don't know.
Yeah,
we shall see.
Yeah, no, she doesn't mind DMC from what I understand, right?
No, DMC she despises.
Gotcha. Okay, I couldn't remember who liked what.
she dropped in on one of my DMC5 screens. It was
Gotcha.
She was kind of more meh on it.
Yeah.
The other one that I want to call out, just because I feel like it, isn't something people talk about with it, but is City of Heroes actually.
No. Yeah.
Just with the heavy emphasis on like physics based attacks, so like knocking enemies away or off of buildings or things like that, and then also things like there being sections where there'll be like ice on the ground and your character will slide around as you're fighting. I think it pulls in a lot of kind of action RPG elements that in ways that really haven't been done since.
Nice. Dennis, how about you?
Yeah, for me, it goes to Strange Brigade, specifically the headshots from Strange Brigade. A choir of angels literally sings when you get a headshot, and there's just like a really great like thump to it. The head popping is great, and then the choral accompaniment is perfect. And I have never before in a game just been good enough to reliably pull off headshots. And I think just the nature of playing against kind of the shambling hordes, mummies moving pretty slowly, just makes it really, really fun to chain one after another. And I'm like, this must be how people who are actually good at shooters feel.
To be fair, like, I forget their name, but the company that makes it, like, headshots kind of are their whole thing.
Yeah, because they also make the sniper light games. So
nice
for Elite. Yeah,
I wasn't going to correct you, man. You're good. Awesome. Well, thank you everybody for participating in that. If you would like to get in on these multiplayer sections, follow us on Facebook, become a fan, like us, or what have you. Facebook.com/TheLevelPodcast. Just a reminder to everybody here, next week will be a free play because we're on the fives, on the O's and fives is when free plays happen. So get your questions ready.
It's almost like a Queens of the Stone Age song.
Yep. It's a good song.
The End Boss.
Now it is time for the End Boss, where we talk about things that are happening in the world of video games that we're excited about, or that get our blood up. Let's see here, Dennis, what you got?
Yeah, so there was a OR report on Roll20 that came out that showed how the distribution of games played through Roll20 is falling out recently. So I thought that was very, very interesting to see what tabletop games people are using computers to play, at least. Mm-hmm. I imagine this is fairly representative of tabletop games overall, but with the caveat that this is just those people who are playing a game on Roll20. Unsurprisingly, D&D 5e was far and away the biggest, up over 50%. 51% of campaigns played, and 54% of accounts. So not only does it have the most campaigns, but it has the most players per campaign.
Yeah.
And everything else trails out from there. What I was most interested to see, though, is that the second largest category is the uncategorized category for both that campaign and account percentage, meaning that the long tail of tabletop RPGs, at least played on Roll20, is very, very strong.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's not necessarily up to the 20% that the long tail usually is, but like 15% is pretty... It's pretty respectable, and I have to assume that like that has to be a lot of like Power by the Apocalypse kind of stuff.
Yeah, I imagine.
You know, where all like any variants on that are distinct, distinct entities, but could be rolled up into rolled up into a category like that.
Well, it's interesting because if you scroll down to the bottom of the article, they have the world's least helpful image, I will call it. So it is a table of the long tail of the games going out. I mean, it looks like they probably have at least 100 different titles on here.
Yeah.
But it's an image. It's not something that you can search the text for. It is tiny,
Oh,
barely readable.
No. What is this, a meme for ants? Yeah.
I know. It is probably, I don't know, 10 times as long as it is wide. So it's like, 5 sheets of paper just all lined up on top of each other. So I was like, ooh, I wonder where the One Ring is, because that's the one that I've done. And just there's no way to find it unless you want to squint your eyes or zoom in your browser and just slowly read a list until you find the thing you're looking for. Like there aren't even numbers giving the rank in front of each game's name. You have to
make your shit searchable.
Oh my God. Yeah. So that apart from that image causing me stress, it's just very interesting to see. Call of Cthulhu and Pathfinder are next up in line with D&D 3.5, shortly behind them. After that, you've got Warhammer, World of Darkness, Starfinder, Star Wars, Shadowrun, Apocalypse World System, which, as you said, starts to get into that. And then just a very, very wide variety of names cascading out from that. So I think there's a ton of, Dungeon World or Powered by the Apocalypse stuff in here, but there's also just a ton of weird random.
It's so like this awakens strange feelings in me, not sexually, but just like I want to fight my fandoms against people. Like obviously D&D is going to be popular, but like I expected Pathfinder to be a little bit more. Like it's, I feel good that Call of Cthulhu is ranked as high as it is. Like, why Shadowrun all the way down there? Hey, Shadowrun, come on.
Well, it gets below a percentage point of total games after like entry. Again, I can't tell you because I have to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Fuck this chart. 6, 7. So after 7,
rank your shit. Put it in a numbered table, searchable.
Come on, Or Group. I imagine that the Or Group like does this as a thing because it's like an industry report.
Yeah. And
you gotta like, maybe they're trying to get me to pay for the ranked file. I don't know. But it's under a percentage after the 7th game.
Yeah.
And then it gets down to 0.01% after like, probably even, 50 or so.
Yeah, no, the 2 people playing Atomic Highway. And like, I understand Atomic Highway is actually pretty good.
Yeah.
Well, there's also like a factor in here too, because like Roll20 like provides like art assets too for when you play these, right? So there might not be support for certain ones over others.
So it's better suited for D&D because that's the path most people walk. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
Huh.
I feel like I'd be interested to know kind of where Pathfinder thing is because my understanding is it's primary pitch was like, was it 3rd edition or no? I'm sorry,
it's
4th edition.
Three crap. 4th edition is crap. 3.5 is actually the best, at least as of the time Pathfinder came out. Let's do D&D with the serial numbers filed off, but with 3.5 D20 rules.
Right, but it seems like now people have decided that like 5th edition is good again, so it seems like Pathfinder kind of has lost its reason for existing.
There's lock-in, there's investment.
I think it's D&D, from what I understand, D&D 5e has reached the balance between 3.5 and 4, whereas Pathfinder is like, no, 3.5 was the best. Let's lean all the way in that direction.
Yeah. I think that, and also if you're going legit and you're not just pirating PDFs, which is not necessarily the best thing to do, Pathfinder is also like it is a lot more cost effective to get just a bunch of that and distribute it. Because
they had like the entire collection going for $20 or something on a humble sale recently.
Yeah, no, they frequently do that, so I can see why Pathfinder would be attractive. Yeah. Anything else about this?
Nope, that's my thing.
Mine is real quick, and I forget if I've talked about this before. But the team behind Layers of Fear, and also the team behind Observer, which is a game that I recently played on Hexcrank Live and was pretty impressed with. They announced at E3 that they're going to be making a game based on the Blair Witch project. The game titled Blair Witch is going to be coming out, sometime in the future, August 30th, 2019. So like within a month or so.
That's quick.
Yeah. I am super jazzed about this. I've not played Layers of Fear 2, but in terms of leaning into the VHS aesthetic and messing around with like just visual artifacts and the presentations, creating horror on their own, that is a that is a team that I would trust with this IP, which coincidentally I would say gets a bad rap because it was so popular and because it was so often parodied. People forget that it actually is a really good horror movie. It is not just important, but also very effective. And I'm excited to see somebody doing something else with this. Yeah. Yep. Bloober Team, Layers of Fear guys and Observer guys making Blair Witch.
So what would be the angle on this though that isn't just Blair Witch except video game?
That sounds good enough to me.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
What more could you want?
Wandering around in the woods and getting like unreliable narrator VHS effects. Yeah, no, I'm down. Gimme. That's not an actual answer, and I'm sorry that I didn't give you one. It just and Ben has written in Slack, Blairs of Fear. Yes. Let's see here. Ben, what you got?
Yeah, so continuing my weekly Gloomhaven update, I watched people play it on Twitch over the weekend as well to try and assess what it was like. It actually doesn't seem that bad. Like, it seems like a pretty functional representation of what the game is. You have your cards as a character class. The enemies have the same mechanics that they have in the board game. It doesn't seem that bad. I was expecting it to be worse, but I think it's still definitely an early alpha. Like the map that you travel from place to place looks pretty bare bones. Like a lot of the game looks bare bones. But yeah, it's not like a travesty like a lot of people have said, I guess. Except for, I guess a lot of people are disappointed by the multiplayer part, so that's fair, I guess, and that still stands. No. But yeah, that
stands, but that's temporary.
Yeah,
not that I'm apologizing for the game. It just, it'll be fixed.
Nah, I'll do that. Yeah.
Does it have you any closer to trying it out, or are you waiting for the multiplayer to be added?
Yeah, I'll wait for the multiplayer to be added. I'll wait for it to be a finished game. So.
Cool.
Yeah.
David, how about you?
I got nothing.
Attaboy. How do you guys feel about buttoning it up?
Let us button.
The credit.
Thank you, everybody, for listening to this episode, level number 294. We appreciate it. You know the stuff that you can do. It feels like I do the same admin every single week. Please tell your friends. Help us expand the listener base of the show. That is the biggest way. So, if we've talked about a game that you enjoy, or if you have friends who like video games or podcasts or both, share us either on social media or in person. We appreciate it. We appreciate the effort. Impose us on your friends. Lead yourself into awkward social situations for our benefit. Otherwise, iTunes ratings and reviews and Patreon and good old-fashioned Facebook likes. The multiplayer is just so fun every single week. Thank you, Dennis, for posting that
Yeah.
That's a good question.
And if you are listening to this at Gen Con currently, go to Facebook, go to Slack, look me up.
Yep. There will be status updates. Is Dennis going to be violently kicked out of the Starbucks?
We shall see.
Who knows? Nice. So, I have been Kole Ross. You can watch my streams on Twitch at Duckfeed.tv.
I'm Dennis Furia, and you can find me at GreenLaser73 on Twitch.
I have been David Maysmith, supposedly.
We did not see his ID. I've been Ben Merkel at Merkleby on Twitch.
And stick around for some titles.
I just feel like we should go straight to Blair's of Fear.
Okay, so that's your vote. What else do you have?
That is all I have.
I have Peter Kruger.
That's also pretty good.
I also have, this wasn't a big laugh line, but I think that it matches the topic of the episode. The head popping is great. Dennis, you said that.
Mm-hmm.
Dennis, what do you have?
I've got Gen Con with JEN.
Mm-hmm.
Then I've got Hollow Note Stealth. Which was a Ben. I'm pretty happy with that.
Can you explain this to me or spell it? I'm not sure I'm hearing it.
It was Metal Gear.
Yeah,
with Hollow Notes and
one of the
music.
One of the cassette tapes that you can get to play over the helicopter PA when you go in for a mission is the song "Maneater" by the duo Hall and Oates. Oh, here she comes.
Yeah,
she's a man eater. Yeah,
AKA the
only valid song you could put.
thing.
Yeah. Ben, how about you?
All right, so I also have the Peter Kruger effect. I also have Gen Con spelled with a J, and then I also have Fuck Energy, but I don't think that one will get to me.
But it goes in for the toadies.
Yep.
Who wants to make an impassioned case?
I am a fan of Hollow Note Stealth.
We all laughed at that.
We did.
Yeah. I'm good with that. I feel like Gen Con. I actually don't want to give that one away because I think it was really funny when it happens.
Yeah.
Let's do Hollow Note Stealth. How do y'all feel?
Sounds good.
Unless someone's feeling like super strong for Blair's of Fear, I'm good with Hollow Note Stealth.
but Blair's of Fear is good. But I think that Hollow Note Stealth, if I'm going to make a case for it, it does have to do with the multiplayer question.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Cool. Awesome. Well, I'm going to go to bed.
Yeah. Have a good night, all.
Yeah. Ben, good luck recovering from work. Dennis, safe travels.
Mm-hmm.
David, happy sailing.
Hey, thanks.
Yeah. All right.
Bye.
Take care,
See you
everybody.
guys. Good night.
Bye.
Bye.